Welcome to Key Trends Spot, your daily dose of what's hot, what's viral, and what's next. From K-pop to culture, we spot the trends so you don't miss a beat. What if everything you thought you knew about Jungkook and Taehyung was only the surface of something much deeper? What if the truth isn't found in what they say, but in everything they choose not to say? In a breath, in a pause, in a silence. What if the real story happened off stage while the cameras were still rolling? Because what just happened with BTS feels too real to ignore. HYBE lit up their building with the words, "We are back." They delivered a dazzling spectacle, fireworks, banners, live broadcasts, even a purple wave across the Seoul skyline. BTS's return from military service was supposed to be a celebration, but while the company basked in the spotlight, something more powerful unfolded in the shadows. This wasn't just a reunion, it was a shift. A quiet earthquake only felt by those who were truly watching. And at the center of it all, Jungkook and Taehyung. It started in the quietest place, backstage, after the concert. The cheers had faded, the stage lights were off, and Jungkook sat alone, his breath still catching up with him. No sound, no distractions, just him and the storm inside his chest. Then Taehyung appeared silent, calm, no entourage, just his presence, filling the room like gravity. He stopped at the door, simply watching, and for a moment, it felt like time froze. Jungkook didn't move, but their energy, it connected instantly. And then, Taehyung saw it. The tattoo, barely visible beneath Jungkook's shirt, knew still healing, still a bleeding story, inked dangerously close to the heart. Taehyung stepped closer, his eyes softened. There was no surprise, no judgment, only emotion, only understanding. "You really did it," he whispered. Jungkook nodded, a simple gesture, but the weight behind it thundered. In that nod lived years of growth, silence, identity. This wasn't just body art. It was a confession. Taehyung blinked and then, almost to himself, whispered, "When did you grow up like this?" The moment belonged to them. Private, unplanned. Yet fate never cared much for plans. Because days later, Jungkook's tattoo made an appearance at J-Hope's concert. Fans noticed. Screenshots flooded the internet. Twitter crashed. The tattoo artist confirmed it. Jungkook had planned this moment quietly, deliberately. Every line, every symbol, intentional. But Taehyung? He didn't say a word. No long posts, no commentary. Just a photo, one birthday cake, a crisp white Celine shirt, no caption. Just one emoji. Then Celine reposted it, naming Taehyung as their eternal muse. As if that wasn't enough, Taehyung went live, unannounced, unfiltered, just him. White tank top, music playing softly in the background, silence speaking louder than anything he could have said. J-Hope appeared in the chat. Comments flooded in, but Taehyung remained still, peaceful, like someone who knew he didn't need to explain anything. Now fans are asking the question they never dared to voice. Does HYBE know what's really going on? Because while HYBE organizes Festa, coordinates schedules, and paints the city purple, Jungkook and Taehyung have been writing their own script. No press release, no PR rollout, no company logo stamped across it. And that's what makes HYBE nervous. They can't choreograph a glance. They can't edit a silence. They can't control a bond that's grown deeper off-screen than any spotlight could capture. So what will HYBE do next? Will they embrace this new chapter, where Taehyung and Jungkook tell their own truth in their own time? Or will they try to steer it back quietly into something more digestible, more polished? Because this isn't about tattoos or late-night lives. It's about two artists stepping out of the mold, and for a company built on structure, that's terrifying. But what fans see now, it's not fear. It's freedom. It's raw. It's unedited. And it's beautiful. Taehyung, with his quiet charisma and soulful artistry, continues to redefine what it means to be a star. Not loud, not flashy, but powerful. A walking canvas of emotion, Jungkook, the Golden Maknae, is no longer just shining. He's glowing from within. There's a confidence in him now that can't be taught. A peace that only comes when you stop trying to be someone and start being yourself. This isn't just growth, it's transformation, and it's happening live, with millions of fans watching and feeling every second. So maybe the greatest BTS moment of 2025 didn't happen on stage. Maybe it happened in a glance, in ink, in the pauses between words that say more than any interview ever could. Hybe might have welcomed them back with the lights and banners. But clearly, this story, it no longer belongs to the company. It belongs to the artists, to the bond, to the silence between Jungkook and Taehyung. And the army? You were never just spectators. You were witnesses. And when news of Shova's studio's analysis spread online, fans were captivated. But no one was more surprised than Taehyung himself. According to insiders close to BTS, Taehyung was genuinely shocked to learn that a US-based scientific facial analysis organization had dedicated an entire study to understanding why his face is considered one of the most attractive in the world. This wasn't a fan-made award or a typical K-pop ranking. It was hard, clinical science. And for someone as humble as Taehyung, the scale of it was overwhelming. He reportedly laughed in disbelief when told that his face had been scanned and studied using medical-grade imaging technology like cystoscopy, and even more so when he found out it was referenced in academic circles. "I never thought my face would end up in a science lab," he joked to his team, according to someone present. Yet as more beauty experts, plastic surgeons, and American fashion photographers began publicly citing his name in lectures and presentations, Taehyung began to realize the true scope of his visual impact. His image, once limited to concert posters and runway shoots, was now being used as a modern example of global facial aesthetics. And the attention wasn't just clinical, it was passionate. A group of visual arts students in California reportedly presented a thesis on the nonverbal storytelling potential of Taehyung's facial features. They claimed his emotional expressions rivaled classical sculpture, capable of conveying entire narratives through a single close-up. This new wave of American attention left Taehyung feeling both honored and a little uneasy. He's long been known for his humility, often brushing off compliments with a soft smile or a quick change of subject. But this was different. It wasn't just about being handsome. It was about being studied, his face becoming a global reference point for aesthetic excellence. What moved him most was how something so natural to him, his appearance, was now being seen as a cultural asset. In a recent conversation with stylists, he reportedly said, "I've always tried to express myself. I didn't know people were analyzing it like this." That statement alone shows how far he feels ⁵